Hi, welcome. Let us discuss unit number 2 solutions of second PUC chemistry. In the question paper, there will be 7 marks totally from this chapter. There will be 3 questions from this chapter. Question number 1 which carries 1 mark, question number 2 which carries 1 mark, and question number 28 which carries 5 marks. Okay, let us know what you mean by solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more components, or a solution is a homogeneous mixture of solute and solvent. For example, salt water, where salt is a solute and water is a solvent. Let us know what are the components of a solution. A solution has mainly two components, namely solvent and solute. And here solvent is the component of a solution which is present in larger amount. Example, water. Solute is the component of a solution which is present in smaller amount, that is salt. What are the properties of solution? The solution has uniform composition throughout the mixture. The properties of the solution are uniform throughout the mixture. The solvent determines the physical state of the solution. That means the state of the solution is determined by the state of the solvent. Let us know what you mean by binary solution. That name itself indicates binary solution is the solution which contains only two components. For example, salt in water. An example of binary solution where there are two components, salt and water. Okay, let us know different types of solid solutions. First one is solid solution, second one is liquid solution, and third one is gaseous solution. Solid solution means it is a kind of solution in which solid acts as a solvent. Liquid solution means it is a kind of solution in which liquid acts as a solvent. And gaseous solution means it is a kind of solution in which gas acts as a solvent. Okay, this is a table where you can distinguish between gaseous, liquid and solid solutions. First one is gaseous solutions. Gaseous solutions are the solutions in which solvent is gas and solute may be gas or liquid or solid. An example of gas in gas solution is mixture of O2 and N2 gases. Both are gases here. In case of liquid in gas solution, chloroform mixed with nitrogen gas. Here chloroform is solute and nitrogen is solvent. In case of solid in gas solution, example is camphor in N2 gas. Here camphor is solute and nitrogen is gas. Second type is liquid solutions. Here liquid is the solvent, solute may be gas or liquid or solid. An example of gas in liquid solution is O2 dissolved in water. Here water is solvent and O2, that is oxygen, is a gas. In case of liquid in liquid solution, example is ethanol dissolved in water. Here ethanol is solute and water is solvent. In case of solid in liquid solution, example is glucose dissolved in water. Here glucose is solute and water is a solvent. And third type of solutions are solid solutions, in which solid acts as a solvent but solute may be gas or liquid or solid. An example of gas in solid solution is solution of hydrogen in palladium. Here hydrogen is solute and palladium, which is solid, is solvent. Liquid in solid solution, an example is amalgam of mercury with sodium. Here mercury is a solute, which is a liquid, and sodium is solvent, which is a solid. An example of solid in solid solution, copper dissolved in gold. Here copper is acting as a solute, which is in solid state, and gold is acting as a solvent, which is also a solid state. In this session, I am going to discuss about concentration of a solution and the different types of units to express the concentration of a solution. The concentration of a solution means it is the amount of solute present in a given solution, and the different types of units used to express the concentration of solutions are molarity, that is capital M, molality denoted by small m, mole fraction denoted by small x, mass percent W by W, volume percent V by V, mass by volume percent M by V, parts per million, that is ppm. So let us know what you mean by molarity. Molarity is defined as the number of moles of solute dissolved in 1 liter of the solution. This is given by an equation. Molarity is equal to number of moles of the solute divided by volume of the solution in liter. For example, 0.25 mole per liter or molar solution of NaOH means 0.25 mole of NaOH dissolved in 1 liter of the solution. So based on molarity, the problem is like this. Calculate the molarity of a solution containing 5 gram of NaOH in 450 ml solution. Here we need to calculate first number of moles of NaOH. Number of moles can be calculated by mass by molar mass. Mass of NaOH is 5 gram and molar mass of NaOH is 40 gram per mole. The number of moles of NaOH is 0.125 mole, and volume of the solution in liters is 450 ml divided by 1000 ml per liter, and molarity can be calculated as 0.125 mole, that is the number of moles of NaOH into 1000 ml per liter divided by 450 ml. Finally, the molarity will be 0.278 mole per dm cube or mole per liter. Let us know what you mean by molality denoted by small m. Molality is the number of moles of the solute per kg of the solvent. Molality is expressed by equation. Molality is equal to number of moles of the solute divided by mass of the solvent in kg. For example, 1 mole per kg or 1 molar solution of KCl means 1 mole, that is 74.5 gram of KCl is dissolved in 1 kg of water. The mass percent, ppm, mole fraction and molarity are independent of temperature. That means they do not depend on the temperature, but the molarity is a function of temperature. That means the molarity varies with vary in temperature. This is because in the expression of molarity there is a volume term which depends on temperature, but in all other cases, that is mass percent, ppm, mole fraction and molarity, there will be mass term, not volume term. Hence they do not depend on temperature, but molarity is dependent of temperature. Okay, problem on molality. Calculate molality of 2.5 gram of ethanoic acid in 75 gram of benzene. First we need to calculate molar mass of ethanoic acid by using molecular formula, that will be 60 gram per mole, and number of moles of ethanoic acid can be calculated as mass by molar mass. Mass of ethanoic acid is 2.5 gram and molar mass of ethanoic acid is 60 gram per mole, that will become 0.0417 mole. Mass of benzene, that is solvent, in kg is equal to 75 gram divided by 1000 gram per kg, which will be equal to 75 into 10 to the power minus 3 kg. Finally, molarity of ethanoic acid can be calculated as number of moles of ethanoic acid divided by kg of benzene, that will be finally equal to 0.556 mole per kg. Okay, let us know what do you mean by mass percent. Mass percent is the mass of a component present in 100 gram of the solution. Mass percentage of a component is calculated by the following equation, that is mass percent of a component is equal to mass of that component in the solution into 100 divided by total mass of the solution. For example, 10% glucose in water by mass means 10 gram of glucose is dissolved in 90 gram of water, resulting in a 100 gram solution. Let us know what is the meaning of volume percentage. Volume percent is the volume of a component in 100 ml of solution. This can be given by the following expression, that is volume percentage of a component is equal to volume of that component into 100 divided by total volume of the solution. For example, 10% ethanol solution in water means 10 ml of ethanol dissolved in water, so the total volume of the solution is 100 ml. Let us know what do you mean by mass by volume percentage. Mass by volume percent is the mass of the solute in grams present in 100 ml of the solution. This can be given by the following expression, that is mass by volume percent is equal to mass of the solute in gram into 100 divided by volume of the solution in ml. Let us know what is the meaning of parts per million, that is ppm. Parts per million is used to express the trace quantities of a solute in the solution. This is given by the following expression, that is parts per million is equal to number of parts of the component into 10 to the power 6 divided by total number of parts of all the components in the solution. Okay, let us know what do you mean by mole fraction of a component, denoted by X. Mole fraction of a component is equal to number of moles of the component divided by total number of moles of all the components. Let us consider a binary mixture containing the components A and B. The mole fractions of each component can be calculated as below. The mole fraction of A, that is XA, is equal to number of moles of A divided by number of moles of A and B, that is equal to Na divided by Na plus Nb. The mole fraction of B can be calculated as follows. The mole fraction of B, that is Xb, is equal to number of moles of B divided by number of moles of A and B, that is equal to Nb divided by Na plus Nb. For a solution containing I number of components, we have Xi is equal to Ni divided by N1 plus N2 plus so on Ni, which is equal to Ni divided by summation of Ni. For a given solution, the sum of all the mole fractions is unity, that is x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus so on plus xi is equal to 1. Mole fraction unit is very useful in relating physical properties of the solutions, like vapor pressure with the concentration of the solution. Problem on mole fraction. Calculate the mole fraction of ethylene glycol in a solution containing 20% of ethylene glycol by mass. The solution has 20 gram of ethylene glycol and 80 gram of water. Molar mass of ethylene glycol can be calculated by using molecular formula, which is equal to 62 gram per mole. The number of moles of ethylene glycol can be calculated by using the formula, that is mass by molar mass. Mass of ethylene glycol is 20 gram. Molar mass is 62. 20 gram divided by 62 gram per mole, which is equal to 0.322 mole. The moles of water can be equal to 80 gram, that is mass of water is 80 gram divided by molar mass of water is 18 gram per mole. From the molecular formula we can calculate the molar mass of water, which is equal to 4.444 mole. Hence mole fraction of glycol is equal to number of moles of glycol, ethylene glycol, divided by number of moles of ethylene glycol plus number of moles of water, which is equal to 0.068, that is mole fraction of ethylene glycol is 0.068. Similarly, mole fraction of water can be calculated as number of moles of water, that is 4.444 mole, divided by number of moles of both the components, that is number of moles of ethylene glycol is 0.322 plus number of moles of water is 4.444 mole, which is equal to 0.932. Mole fraction of water can also be calculated as 1 minus 0.068, which is equal to 0.932, because the sum of mole fractions of all the components present in a solution is equal to 1. Thank you. In this session, I am going to discuss about solubility and the factors affecting solubility. First, let us know what is the meaning of solubility. Solubility of a substance is the maximum amount of a substance that can be dissolved in a specified amount of solvent at a specified temperature. The process of increasing the concentration of a solute in a solvent is called as dissolution. The process of separation of solute particles out of the solution is known as crystallization. A solution in which no more solute can be dissolved at the same temperature and pressure is called a saturated solution. An unsaturated solution is the one in which some more solute can be dissolved at the same temperature. Let us discuss what all factors affect the solubility of solid in a liquid. The solubility of a solid in a liquid depends upon the following factors. First one is the nature of the solute and the solvent. Second one is temperature. Third factor is pressure. Okay. Let us know what is the effect of nature of solute and solvent on the solubility. The polar solutes dissolved in polar solvents and non-polar solutes dissolve in non-polar solvents. Hence, the solubility rule is like dissolves like. That means polar solutes are soluble in polar solvents, non-polar solutes are soluble in non-polar solvents. For example, polar solutes like NaCl, sodium chloride and sugar dissolve in polar solvent like water, but not in non-polar solvent like benzene, because benzene is not having any kind of polarity. And the non-polar solutes like naphthalene and anthracene are soluble in non-polar solvent like benzene, but not in polar solvent like water. Let us discuss effect of temperature on the solubility. The solubility of a solid in a liquid increases if the dissolution process is endothermic. That means if dissolution involves absorption of heat, then the solubility of solid in a liquid increases. But the solubility of a solid in a liquid decreases if the dissolution process is exothermic. That means after adding solid into a liquid, that dissolution, if it involves evolution of heat, then the solubility of solid in a liquid decreases. Effect of pressure. The solubility of a solid in a liquid is not at all affected by a pressure, because solids and liquids are highly incompressible. That means on applying pressure, solids and liquids cannot undergo compression. So the solubility of solid in liquid is not at all affected by pressure, because both are highly incompressible in nature. In this session, I want to explain about the solubility of a gas in a liquid. The solubility of gases in liquids increases with increase of pressure. That means if you increase the pressure on the liquid surface, the solubility of gas in liquid increases. The quantitative relation between the pressure and the solubility of a gas in a liquid is known as Henry's law. That means Henry's law gives a quantitative relation between pressure and solubility of gas in a solvent. Okay, let us know the statement of Henry's law. At a constant temperature, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of a liquid or solution. Henry's law can also be stated as the partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase, that is small p, is proportional to the mole fraction of the gas, that is small x, in the solution. The mathematical expression for Henry's law is small p is equal to capital KH into small x, where KH is the Henry's law constant and small p is the vapor pressure of a gas, x is the mole fraction of a gas. Okay, Henry's law constant, that is KH. Higher the value of KH at a given pressure, the lower is the solubility of a gas in the liquid. That means solubility of gas in liquid and Henry's law constant are inversely related. That means if KH value is high, the solubility of gas in liquid is low. A gas which is more soluble in a given liquid has low KH value, but a gas which is less soluble in a given liquid has high KH value. The aquatic species are more comfortable in cold water than in warm water. Give reason. Because the solubility of gases increases with decrease of temperature. Hence, the aquatic species are more comfortable in cold water rather than in warm water. Because in cold water there will be sufficient amount of oxygen gas dissolved, but in warm water, since there is a high temperature, there will be presence of small amount of oxygen dissolved, which makes aquatic species to feel suffocation. Okay, let us know applications of Henry's law. It is used in the preparation of carbonated beverages. It is used by scuba divers for respiration. It is used by mountain climbers for respiration. Okay, the soda bottle is sealed under high pressure. What is the reason? To increase the solubility of carbon dioxide in soft drinks and soda water, the bottle is sealed under high pressure. Because if the bottle is sealed under high pressure, the solubility of gas in liquid increases with increase in the pressure. The tanks used by scuba divers under deep sea are filled with air diluted with helium. Give reason. The tanks used by scuba divers under deep sea are filled with air diluted with helium to avoid bends and toxic effects of nitrogen gas. Because nitrogen blocks blood capillaries, which is painful and dangerous to life. The people living at high altitudes become weak and unable to think clearly. What is the reason? The people living at high altitudes become weak and unable to think clearly due to the low solubility or low concentration of oxygen in the blood because of low partial pressure of oxygen at high altitude, and this kind of condition is known as anoxia. Okay, let us know the effect of temperature on the solubility of gas in a liquid. The solubility of gas in a liquid decreases with rise in temperature because the dissolution of gas in liquid is an exothermic process. Since that process itself is evolving heat, if you increase the temperature, the solubility of gas in a liquid decreases. Effect of pressure on the solubility of a gas in a liquid. The solubility of a gas in a liquid increases with rise in pressure. You can see in the following diagram. On applying pressure on the surface of liquid containing gas, there will be increase in the solubility of a gas in a liquid. In this session, I am going to discuss about vapor pressure concept and also Raoult's law. Vapor pressure of liquid solutions. In liquid solutions, solvent is in a liquid state. The solute can be a gas, a liquid, or a solid. Generally, the liquid is volatile in nature here. The solute may or may not be volatile. In your syllabus, as per your syllabus, we discuss only the binary solutions, that is liquid in liquid and solid in liquid solutions. Let us know what do you know by vapor pressure. The pressure exerted by the vapors of the liquid above the liquid surface at constant temperature when the vapors are in equilibrium with the liquid. Okay, let us know the statement of Raoult's law. In a solution of two volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure of each component of the solution is directly proportional to its mole fraction present in the solution. That means, in case of solution of two volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to its mole fraction. This is the statement of Raoult's law. According to Raoult's law, P1 is directly proportional to x1. That is, partial vapor pressure of component 1 is directly proportional to mole fraction of component 1, that is x1. Similarly, partial vapor pressure of component 2 is directly proportional to mole fraction of component 2. That can be written as P2 is equal to P2 naught into x2. Here P1 naught and P2 naught are the vapor pressures of components 1 and 2 respectively in their pure states, and P1 and P2 are the partial pressures of the components 1 and 2 from the solutions. x1 and x2 are the mole fractions of the components 1 and 2 in the solution. According to Dalton's law of partial pressures, the total pressure over the solution will be the sum of the partial pressures of the components of the solution. Hence, total vapor pressure of the solution, that is P total, is equal to P1 plus P2. P1 is the partial vapor pressure of component 1 and P2 is the partial vapor pressure of the component 2, which is equal to P1 naught into x1 plus P2 naught into x2. P1 naught into x1 can be written as 1 minus x2 because the sum of x1 plus x2 is equal to 1, plus P2 naught into x2, which is equal to P1 naught minus P1 naught into x2 plus P2 naught into x2. Finally, this will be equal to P1 naught plus x2 into P2 naught minus P1 naught. Okay, let us differentiate between Henry's law and Raoult's law. Henry's law is applicable for the solution of a gas in a liquid, but Raoult's law is applicable for the solution of a liquid in a liquid. The partial pressure of the gas is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. This is the statement of Henry's law. But the statement of Raoult's law is the partial pressure of the volatile component is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. Expression for Henry's law is small p is equal to kh into x. Expression for Raoult's law is pi is equal to xi into pi naught. In case of Henry's law, kh is Henry's law constant. In case of Raoult's law, pi naught is the vapor pressure of the pure component I, which is a constant. Raoult's law becomes a special case of Henry's law, in which kh becomes equal to P1 naught. This is a graph where the vapor pressure versus mole fraction of solvent is plotted. Here we will get a linear graph. That means as the mole fraction of solvent increases, the vapor pressure of the solvent also increases. At constant temperature, the vapor pressure of the solution is lower than the vapor pressure of the pure solvent. Give reason. This is because Solute particles in the solution prevent the escaping tendency of solvent molecules to get vaporized. Hence, the vapor pressure of the solution is lower than the vapor pressure of the pure solvent. That means the presence of solute particles hinders the escaping nature of solvent molecules to get vaporized. Hence, the vapor pressure of the solution is always lower than the vapor pressure of the pure solvent. This is a picture where you can see in case of pure solvent there will be maximum evaporation of solvent and hence the vapor pressure will be high, but in case of solution there will be presence of both solute and solvent particles at the surface. So solute particles hinder the evaporation of solvent molecules, hence the vapor pressure of the solution becomes low. If a non-volatile solute is added to a solution, the vapor pressure of the solvent decreases. Give reason. If a non-volatile solute is added to a solution, the number of solvent molecules escaping from the surface of the solution is reduced. Hence, the vapor pressure of the solvent decreases. The decrease in the vapor pressure of the solvent depends on the quantity of non-volatile solute present in the solution, but not on its nature. For example, decrease in the vapor pressure of water by adding 1 mole of sucrose to 1 kg of water is nearly same as that produced by adding 1 mole of urea to the same quantity of water at the same temperature. Here, if you observe carefully, the amount of solute added is same, that is sucrose you are adding 1 mole and urea is also of 1 mole, and hence the vapor pressure of solvent depends on the quantity of non-volatile solute but not on the nature. Even though the solutes are different, sucrose and urea, the decrease in the vapor pressure produced is same. In this session, I am going to discuss about classification, properties and differences between ideal and non-ideal solutions. First, let us know the classification of liquid-liquid solutions based on Raoult's law. There are two types, ideal solutions and non-ideal solutions. Ideal solutions are the solutions which obey Raoult's law at all concentrations. Examples of ideal solutions are mixture of N-hexane and N-heptane or mixture of benzene and toluene. Non-ideal solutions are the solutions which do not obey Raoult's law at all concentrations. Examples of non-ideal solutions are a mixture of HCl and H2O or a mixture of ethanol in water. Let us know the properties of ideal solutions. Ideal solutions obey Raoult's law at all concentrations. They have zero enthalpy of mixing of their components, that is delta H mix is 0. It means no heat is absorbed or evolved when the components are mixed. They have zero volume of mixing of their components, that is delta V mix is equal to 0. It means there is no change in volume when the components are mixed, that is the volume of the solution would be equal to the sum of the volumes of the two components. The forces of attraction between solvent-solute molecules are the same as that of solvent-solvent and solute-solute molecules. This is a graph of vapor pressure and mole fraction of an ideal solution. Let us discuss properties of non-ideal solutions. Non-ideal solutions do not obey Raoult's law at all concentrations. They have non-zero enthalpy of mixing of their components. That is, delta H mix is not equal to 0. It means there is an absorption or evolution of heat when the components are mixed. They have non-zero volume of mixing of their components. That is, delta V mix is not equal to 0. It means there is a change in volume when the components are mixed. It means the volume of the solution is more or less than the volumes of the two components. The forces of attraction between the solvent-solute molecules are greater or lesser than that of solvent-solvent and solute-solute molecules in case of non-ideal solutions. Let us differentiate ideal solutions from non-ideal solutions. Ideal solutions obey Raoult's law, but non-ideal solutions do not obey Raoult's law. Delta H mix is equal to 0 in case of ideal solutions. Delta H mix is not equal to 0 in case of non-ideal solutions. Delta V mix is equal to 0 in case of ideal solutions. Delta V mix is not equal to 0 in case of non-ideal solutions. In case of ideal solutions, the forces of attraction between solvent-solute molecules are the same as that of the solvent-solvent and solute-solute molecules. But in case of non-ideal solutions, the forces of attraction between solvent-solute molecules are greater or lesser than that of the solvent-solvent and solute-solute molecules. In this session, I am going to discuss about the types of non-ideal solutions. There are mainly two types of non-ideal solutions, namely non-ideal solutions showing positive deviation and non-ideal solutions showing negative deviation. Okay, first one is non-ideal solutions showing positive deviations. These are the solutions which show the vapor pressure higher than that calculated from Raoult's law. Example is a mixture of acetone and ethanol or a mixture of acetone and carbon disulfide. Second types of solutions are non-ideal solutions showing negative deviation. That means these are the solutions which show the vapor pressure lower than that calculated from Raoult's law. Examples are a mixture of acetone and chloroform or a mixture of phenol and aniline. A solution of acetone and pure ethanol shows positive deviation from Raoult's law. Why? On adding acetone to the pure ethanol, hydrogen bonds are broken and the interactions between acetone ethanol molecules become weak and the escaping nature of the molecules increases and vapor pressure of the resulting solution also increases. Hence, this kind of solution shows positive deviation from Raoult's law. A solution of acetone and carbon disulfide shows positive deviation from Raoult's law. Give reason. On adding acetone to the carbon disulfide, the dipolar interactions between acetone carbon disulfide molecules become weak and the escaping nature of the molecules increases, and the vapor pressure of the resulting solution also increases, and hence this kind of solution shows positive deviation from Raoult's law. A solution of phenol and aniline shows negative deviation from Raoult's law. Why? On adding phenol to aniline, an intermolecular hydrogen bonding between phenolic proton and a lone pair on nitrogen atom of aniline becomes stronger, and the escaping nature of the molecules decreases, and therefore the vapor pressure of the resulting solution also decreases, and hence this kind of solution shows negative deviation from Raoult's law. A solution of chloroform and acetone shows negative deviation from Raoult's law. Give reason. On adding chloroform to acetone, an intermolecular hydrogen bonding between chloroform and acetone becomes stronger, and the escaping nature of the molecules decreases, and therefore the vapor pressure of the resulting solution also decreases, and hence this kind of solution shows negative deviation from Raoult's law. This is a picture where you can see the different graphs of non-ideal solution with positive deviation and non-ideal solution with negative deviation. In the first case, there will be high in the vapor pressure of this solution than the value calculated from Raoult's law, but in the second case the vapor pressure of the solution is low as compared to that vapor pressure calculated from Raoult's law. Let us know the differences between non-ideal solution with positive deviation and non-ideal solution with negative deviation. In case of non-ideal solution with positive deviation, delta H mix and delta V mix are greater than 0. But in case of non-ideal solution with negative deviation, delta H mix and delta V mix are less than 0. The vapor pressure of the solution is greater than that the value calculated from Raoult's law in case of non-ideal solution with positive deviation. But in case of non-ideal solution with negative deviation, the vapor pressure of the solution is less than that the value calculated from Raoult's law. In case of non-ideal solution with positive deviation, the forces of attraction between solvent solute, that is AB molecules, are lesser than that of solvent solvent, that is AA, and solute solute, that is BB molecules. But in case of non-ideal solution with negative deviation, the forces of attraction between the solvent and solute, that is AB molecules, are greater than that of solvent solvent, that is AA, and solute solute, that is BB molecules. Thank you. In this session, I am going to discuss about azeotropes and colligative properties. Let us know what do you mean by azeotropes. Azeotropes are the binary mixtures having the same composition in liquid and vapor phase and boil at a constant temperature. Their components cannot be separated by the fractional distillation. The types of azeotropes, there are two types, namely the minimum boiling azeotropes, the maximum boiling azeotropes. The minimum boiling azeotropes are the solutions which show a large positive deviation from Raoult's law. For example, a mixture of ethanol, it is 95%, and water, it is 5%. The maximum boiling azeotropes are the solutions which show a large negative deviation from Raoult's law. Example is a mixture of nitric acid, that is 68%, and water, that is 32%. Let us know what you mean by colligative properties. Colligative properties are the properties of the solutions which depend on the number of solute particles but not on the nature of solute particles. That means these are the properties of the solutions which depend only on the number of particles but not on the nature of the solute particles. There are mainly four types of colligative properties. First one is relative lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent, that is RLVP. There will be lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent when you add non-volatile solute to the solvent. Second one is elevation or increase in the boiling point of the solvent, which is also called ebullioscope. When you add non-volatile solute to the solvent, there will be increase in the boiling point of the solution. That is second colligative property. Third one is depression or decrease in the freezing point of the solvent, which is also called cryoscope. That means when you add a non-volatile solute to the solvent, there will be decrease in the freezing point of the solvent. And fourth one is osmotic pressure of the solution. In this session, I am going to explain about the first colligative property, that is relative lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent. First, let us know what you mean by vapor pressure. Vapor pressure is the pressure exerted by the liquid vapors on the surface of the liquid. As per Raoult's law, P1 is equal to x1 into P1 naught, where P1 naught is the vapor pressure of the pure solvent, P1 is the vapor pressure of the solvent in the solution, x1 is the number of moles of solvent. The decrease in the vapor pressure of the solvent in the solution when a non-volatile solute is added to the solution is called lowering of vapor pressure. That is, when a non-volatile solute is added to this solution, then the vapor pressure of the solvent decreases. This decrease in the vapor pressure of the solvent is called lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent. This can be expressed as delta P1 is equal to P1 naught minus P1, where P1 naught is the vapor pressure of the pure solvent, P1 is the vapor pressure of the solvent in the solution, which is finally equal to P1 naught into 1 minus x1. Or this can be written as delta P1 is equal to x2 into P1 naught, because x2 is equal to 1 minus x1. The relative lowering of vapor pressure is the ratio of lowering of vapor pressure to the vapor pressure of the pure solvent. That is delta P1 divided by P1 naught. Delta P1 is equal to P1 naught minus P1 divided by P1 naught, which is equal to x2, that is mole fraction of the solute, which can be written as N2 divided by N1 plus N2. And here N1 and N2 are the number of moles of the solvent and the solute respectively. For dilute solutions, the number of moles of solute is very small compared to number of moles of solvent, that is N2 can be neglected. Then we have P1 naught minus P1 divided by P1 naught is equal to N2 divided by N1, which is equal to W2 into M1 divided by W1 into M2, where W1 is the mass of the solvent, W2 is the mass of the solute, and M1 is the molar mass of the solvent, and M2 is the molar mass of the solute. Finally, we can express M2 is equal to W2 into M1 into P1 naught divided by W1 into P1 naught minus P1 whole bracket. From this equation, knowing all other quantities, the molar mass of the solute, that is M2, can be calculated. The mole fraction of solvent in dilute solution is 0.95. Calculate the relative lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent. We know that relative lowering of vapor pressure is equal to mole fraction of the solute, which can be written as 1 minus mole fraction of the solvent. Here we know that mole fraction of the solvent is 0.95, hence mole fraction of the solute is equal to 1 minus 0.95, that is 0.05 is the mole fraction of the solute. Among pure water and sea water, pure water has the highest vapor pressure. Give reason. A pure water has the highest vapor pressure due to the absence of dissolved salts, that is solute. But a sea water has the least vapor pressure due to the presence of dissolved salts. These salts reduce the escaping tendency of water, that is solvent, into vapors. This is a picture where you can see decrease in the vapor pressure of the solvent on adding the solute to the solvent. In the first case, pure solvent is there where there is a maximum vaporization of solvent, but in the case of B picture, there will be presence of both solvent and solute, where the solute particles hinder the evaporation of solvent molecules. Hence, vapor pressure decreases on adding solute to the solvent. In this session, I am going to discuss about the second colligative property, that is elevation of boiling point. First, we need to know that what do you mean by boiling point. Boiling point is a temperature at which liquid boils, and at this temperature vapor pressure of the liquid becomes equal to an atmospheric pressure. For example, the boiling point of water is 373.15 degree Kelvin, that is 100 degrees Celsius. The vapor pressure of a liquid increases with increase of temperature, but the vapor pressure of a solvent decreases in the presence of a non-volatile solute. For example, vapor pressure of an aqueous solution of sucrose is less than the vapor pressure of the pure solvent, that is water. The vapor pressure of a solvent in a solution decreases in the presence of a non-volatile solute because the solute reduces the vaporizing nature of the solvent. Hence, the boiling point of a solution is always higher than that of the boiling point of the pure solvent. In this graph, you can see that the boiling point of the solution is higher than that of the solvent. The elevation of boiling point of the solution depends on the number of solute molecules but not on their nature. Hence, elevation of boiling point is a colligative property. Let Tb naught be the boiling point of pure solvent and Tb be the boiling point of the solution. The increase in the boiling point, that is delta Tb is equal to Tb minus Tb naught, which is known as elevation of boiling point. For dilute solutions, the elevation of boiling point, that is delta Tb, is directly proportional to the molar concentration of the solute in a solution. Thus, delta Tb is proportional to molality, that is small m, or delta Tb is equal to Kb into m, where m is the molality, that is the number of moles of the solute dissolved in 1 kg of the solvent, where Kb is the constant of proportionality called boiling point elevation constant or molar elevation constant or ebullioscopic constant. The SI unit of Kb is Kelvin kg per mole. The molality, that is small m of the solution, can be calculated by using the expression small m is equal to small w2 into 1000 divided by small w into capital M2. Hence, delta Tb is equal to small m into Kb, which is equal to W2 into 1000 into Kb divided by W1 into M2, or M2 is equal to W2 into 1000 divided into Kb divided by W1 into delta Tb. From this equation, knowing all other quantities, the molar mass of the solute, that is M2, can be calculated. In this session, I am going to discuss about the third colligative property, that is depression of freezing point. First, let us know what do you mean by freezing point. The freezing point of a substance is defined as the temperature at which the vapor pressure of the substance in its liquid phase is equal to its vapor pressure in the solid phase. A solution will freeze when its vapor pressure equals the vapor pressure of the pure solid solvent. This is a graph where you can see the vapor pressure of the solution is less compared to the vapor pressure of the solvent. According to Raoult's law, when a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its vapor pressure decreases and hence the freezing point of the solvent decreases. Let Tf naught be the freezing point of pure solvent and Tf be its freezing point of solution when a non-volatile solute is dissolved in it. The decrease in the freezing point, that is delta Tf, is equal to Tf naught minus Tf, which is known as depression in freezing point. The depression of freezing point, that is delta Tf, for dilute solution is directly proportional to molality m of the solution. Thus, delta Tf is directly proportional to molality, or delta Tf is equal to Kf into m. The proportionality constant Kf, which depends on the nature of the solvent, is known as freezing point depression constant or molar depression constant or cryoscopic constant. The SI unit of Kf is Kelvin kg per mole. The molality of this solute can be calculated by using the following expression, that is small m is equal to W2 into 1000 divided by W1 into M2, where W1 and W2 are the masses of the solvent and solute respectively. M2 is the molar mass of the solute. Hence, delta TF is equal to M into Kf, which is equal to W2 into 1000 into Kf divided by W1 into M2. Molar mass of the solute can be calculated as M2 is equal to W2 into 1000 into Kf divided by W1 into delta TF. Thus, for calculating the molar mass of this solute, we should know the quantities W1, W2, delta TF and Kf. Among pure water and sea water has high boiling point and lowest freezing point. Give reason. This is because the freezing point of sea water is less than 0 degree due to the presence of dissolved salts. To clear the snow covered roads and hilly areas, the salt is sprinkled. Why? When the salt is sprinkled, the snow starts melting due to depression in the freezing point, and this results in the formation of water and helps to clear roads. In this session, I am going to explain about semi-permeable membrane, osmosis, osmotic pressure, and different types of solutions, that is isotonic solutions, hypotonic solutions, and hypertonic solutions. First, let us know what you mean by semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane is a kind of membrane which allows only the solvent molecules to pass through it, but not the solute molecules. There are two types of semi-permeable membranes: natural semi-permeable membrane and synthetic semi-permeable membrane. Example of natural membrane is pig's bladder. Example of synthetic membrane is cellophane. Let us know what do you mean by osmosis. Osmosis is a process of movement of solvent from pure solvent to the solution through the semi-permeable membrane. The flow of solvent from dilute solution to the concentrated solution across a semi-permeable membrane is due to a process known as osmosis. Let us know what you mean by osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure of a solution is the excess pressure that must be applied to a solution to prevent osmosis. That is, to stop the passage of solvent molecules through a semi-permeable membrane into the solution. Osmotic pressure is a type of colligative property because it depends on the number of solute molecules but not on their nature. For dilute solutions, the osmotic pressure is proportional to the molarity, that is C, of the solution at a given temperature T. Thus, phi, that is osmotic pressure, is equal to CRT, where pi is osmotic pressure, capital R is gas constant, and T is the absolute temperature. Or pi is equal to N2 divided by V into RT, or pi V is equal to N2 into R into T, where V is the volume of a solution in liters containing N2 moles of the solute. If W2 gram of solute of molar mass M2 is present in the solution, then pi V is equal to N2 into RT, or pi V is equal to W2 RT divided by M2, because N2 is equal to W2 divided by M2. N2 is the number of moles of solute, which is equal to mass by molar mass. That is, W2 is the mass of the solute, M2 is the mass of the molar mass of the solute. And M2 can be calculated by the expression M2 is equal to W2 RT divided by pi into V. By knowing the W2, capital T, pi and WV, we can calculate the molar mass of the solute. And this method is widely used to determine the molar masses of the proteins and polymers. Let us know about isotonic solutions. Isotonic solutions are the solutions which have same osmotic pressure at a given temperature. When isotonic solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, no osmosis takes place between them. For example, blood and 0.9% sodium chloride solution, because both are having same osmotic pressure, there will be no osmosis process between blood and 0.9% NaCl solution. 0.9% sodium chloride solution is called normal saline solution, which is safe to inject intravenously. Let us know about hypotonic and hypertonic solutions. The solution containing more than 0.9% sodium chloride, in which the cells become shrink due to the flow of water out of the cells, is called hypertonic solution. But the solution containing less than 0.9% sodium chloride, in which the cells become swell due to the flow of water into the cells, is called hypotonic solution. A raw mango, when placed in concentrated salt solution, it loses water and shrivel into pickle. What should be the reason? This is because their exosmosis takes place. That means water comes out of the raw mango and gets converted into pickle. That exosmosis means the flow of water out of the mango cells. Wilted flowers revive when placed in fresh water. Give reason. Wilted flowers revive when placed in fresh water. This is due to endosmosis, that is, flow of water molecules into the cells of flowers. A carrot that has become limp because of water loss can be placed into the water, making it firm once again. Why? Because this is due to endosmosis, that is, water goes into the carrot. Blood cells collapse when placed in water containing less than 0.9% salt. Why? Because when we place blood cells in water containing less than 0.9% salt, there will be exosmosis, that is, water comes out of the blood cells and blood cells collapse. People taking a lot of salt or salty food experience water retention in tissue cells. Give reason. This is because of osmosis, and this results in puffiness or swelling, and the condition is known as edema. Water movement from the soil into the plant roots and to the upper portion of the plant is due to a process known as osmosis. The preservation of meat by salting and of fruits by adding sugar protects against bacterial action. Here, osmosis takes place, so a bacterium present on salted meat or candied fruit loses water, shrivels, and finally dies. In this session, I am going to explain about reverse osmosis, water purification, abnormal molar mass, and want of factor. First, let us know what do you mean by reverse osmosis. The direction of osmosis can be reversed if a pressure larger than osmotic pressure is applied to the solution side. That is, the pure solvent flows out of the solution through the semi-permeable membrane, and this kind of process is known as reverse osmosis. And this reverse osmosis is used in the desalination of seawater. When a pressure more than osmotic pressure is applied, pure water flows out of the seawater through the membrane, and seawater becomes salt free. And here a porous membrane is used, which is a film of cellulose acetate, and cellulose acetate is permeable to only water but impermeable to the impurities and ions present in the seawater. Here you can see the desalination of seawater, that is removal of salt from seawater by a process reverse osmosis. When we separate fresh water and salt water by a semi-permeable membrane, on applying a pressure greater than osmotic pressure on salt water, there will be a reverse osmosis process. That means solvent molecules flow out of salt water and get into the fresh water. By this, we can remove salt content from seawater. Let us know about abnormal molar masses. The molar mass of the molecule which is lower or higher than the expected or normal value is called abnormal molar mass. Let us take an example of ethanoic acid, where the molecules of ethanoic acid dimerize in benzene due to hydrogen bonding between them, and also because of low dielectric constant of benzene, and hence the number of particles is reduced due to a process called dimerization. Okay, let us know about want of factor, that is I. I is equal to normal molar mass divided by abnormal molar mass, which is also equal to observed colligative property divided by calculated colligative property. I is also a ratio of the total number of moles of particles after association or dissociation divided by number of moles of particles before association or dissociation. In case of association, the value of I is less than unity, but in case of dissociation, value of I is greater than unity. For example, the value of I for aqueous KCl solution is close to 2, but in case of ethanoic acid in benzene, the value of I is nearly 0.5. Let us know the significance of quantum factor. If I is equal to 1, the solute does not undergo either dissociation or association. If I is greater than 1, the solute undergoes dissociation. If I is less than 1, solute undergoes association. The colligative properties for solutes that undergo association or dissociation. There are four colligative properties. First one is relative lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent, which that is equal to P1 naught minus P1 divided by P1 naught is equal to Ix2. The second property is elevation of boiling point. If you consider for these solutes undergoing association or dissociation, that delta Tb becomes equal to I into Kb into m. For the third colligative property, that is depression of freezing point, the delta Tf becomes equal to I into Kf into small m. For fourth colligative property, that is osmotic pressure of the solution, that is pi is equal to I into N2 into R into T divided by capital V, which is equal to ICRT. Thank you.